Bildy here, back in my kitchen. Oh, just a little rundown on what's going on in the news. That's this incredible disconnect. I've got sources of people on the ground that aren't affiliated with any mainstream channels or organizations that are over there in Poland. This guy. First let's look at what the mainstream's saying. The waves of Ukrainian refugees are putting European solidarity under strain. Poland is busting at the seams with all these Ukrainian refugees going through. It's just horrible. Well, they've been taking refugees out of Donbass into Russia for a long time. They do it in a neat and orderly fashion. There's lots of them, but they got everything all set up and ready for them. They want us to think that this was just a huge surprise, and they're flooded with refugees. I don't know about that. What I'm seeing here, these guys, I don't even know who these people are. This is a new one on me. They call themselves Unacceptable Fringe Minority. I'm going to check them out. I like to do that before I mention them on my channel, but what I see here looks like they really do good work. It's got a Canadian maple leaf on their insignia, so I'm thinking maybe they're Canadians. How about that, eh? Oh, sorry. They went through Poland with their cameras just to be boots on the ground and see what's going on. And you're going to have to elbow your way through all those Ukrainians fleeing, right? But there's no such thing. It's really pretty calm, and there's not a whole lot of people there. And those people that are there, according to these guys, are being herded and managed into. I'm gonna put a link to this and down here so you can look at it yourself. Like they'll close all the doors to the train station and just have one door, and they'll set the cameras up and they'll herd everybody and shunt them through that one door, so it looks like there's just gazillions of people. They even got trash can fires going outside with people huddled around them. That they set the cameras up and they brought a trash can and put wood in it and lit it and got a bunch of people to go around it with blankets. This is all stage managed, stagecraft. I'm not saying there's not a refugee problem, but this is what they're seeing on the ground here at the border. I've been to the border between Ukraine and Poland. I went from Lviv to Krakow once via train. When I came back, I walked across the border and took a cab. And that was an interesting experience. They had these fences set up, and all these Ukrainians. There were probably a couple hundred Ukrainians lined up to go into Poland while I was leaving. And they all had like bags full of stuff, and the Poles were really loose back then. This would have been about 2000, I don't know, maybe 2010 or so, maybe before that. And the Ukrainians, all they were doing is they were going across the border to sell stuff in Poland, where they get money out of it, a lot of money, bringing cheap stuff for Ukraine. All they could carry, a big grocery bag full of cigarettes, and they go through. And they'd hand the cigarette. They had a hole in the fence. They actually made a hole in the fence for them. They could pass things through the fence to Ukrainians that are already through on the other side to go sell. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on. Poland's kind of sketchy too in some regards. I mean, I didn't film it or anything. I thought it was kind of interesting. But anyway, this guy's going, looks like the same route I went through, because he went to Lviv, and now he's in Lviv, and there's nothing happening there either. They got cameras set up anywhere. Oh yeah, he says all the hostels and hotels are full of journalists. There's refugees there, but they can't get a room. They got to stay in the train station because the journalists clogged everything up with, their flunkies and equipment. Nice. So maybe we should send them money, right? All these things pop up on the web. Help the poor Ukrainian refugees. How much of that money, if any, do you think ever gets to anybody? Most of these charities are just scams. They don't ban them or restrict them, though, do they? Tell the truth about it.
Our fact checkers have found that you have said something that we don't like.
And there's still, as I said on my last video, there's all these ass clowns wanting to go there and LARP as freedom fighters and help the Ukrainians fight the evil Russians because they believe the lies they're told. Well, God help you. Or maybe they got an axe to grind at it. Very, very seldom there's that kind of thing in there. I don't think there's very many actual Ukrainian patriots that really believe that Russia attacked Ukraine for no reason. There seems to be a lot of people going over there. But Russia's countered that recently. Mr. Putin has announced that they're going to take international volunteers too, not just to play catch up, but they've been under pressure for a long time. There are over 400,000 people that have applied in Russia and in the former Soviet states, foreigners in Russia and foreigners we would consider foreigners in the former Soviet states like Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan and all those places, saying they want to volunteer medical skills or military skills. And of course, Chechnya and Serbia and Syria, of course, and even Iran. Honorable people want to go help fight fascism, and they volunteered. They're not going to get paid. You got to bring your own equipment and pay your own expenses to it for a lot of extent of it. And Putin says, yeah, well, we'll utilize this. He authorized them to form 10 units, a total of 50,000 people, for starters. They're going to be trained, and they're going to be helping with communications protection, communication security, backside security, policing, things like that. Well, they're probably moving them in and training them right now, but they got 400,000 applicants. Pretty impressive. And these aren't people that are that have been lied to. These are people that know actually what's going on there, and they want to be a part of it. And they're not going on an adventure or an experience. They're not LARPing. I think probably got a lot higher quality among them than we got going over there from Canada, UK, and the US. In the interviews that I've seen, most of these people are just either neurolinguistically programmed idiots that get all their news from, military sites and straight up CNN, and they believe what they're told. You think in a closed loop system when you've been properly trained like that. Linear thinking in a closed loop is going to crash. But that's if you really get to believe what your command tells you, when you look at the military doctrine of the U.S., the way it's crept, because they believe that it's stated what constitutes a threat has changed considerably over the last 30 or 40 years. Now threats are people that compete with us. People that have competing businesses that get into our markets and compete for buying resources or don't sell us resources really cheap. And by us, I mean the West, the globalists. They're not loyal to the U.S., but if somebody's competing with the globalists and selling stuff cheaper on their market, what they consider their market, and not getting off the oil and ore real cheap, and building their own industries up, well, that's a threat. And we got to send the military in there to fix that. Well, send CIA spooks in to screw them up, and color revolutions, and it escalates all the way up to military. There's a doctrine to destroy Russia too that's never gone away. I think it was put together in the 50s. I was just reading up on that. I don't know a lot about it yet. I need to study up on it quite a bit, but you can see it in their actions. Soviet Union collapsed. What'd they do? They sent the Harvard gang in there to figure out how to loot them, keep them poor, keep them from developing anything. They told you that they were helping them develop a market economy. I've uncovered evidence of that myself. I think I've discussed this earlier. I found a lot of people. I did a scientific way. I used the Russian dating sites. I talked to a bunch of women all over Kyrgyzstan, Belarus, Russia, and Ukraine. I went on the dating sites and I found all these women that call themselves economists. I was stunned at that. There's so many people that says, "What's your profession?" Well, I'm an economist. Really? It's like 10% of the population are economists? How the hell did that happen? So I asked a bunch of them. I got some answers from a lot of them too. They were getting a paycheck from U.S. aid that said that they're an economist. That's what their paycheck said. They were really just petty bureaucrats. They gave them money to keep all the little petty bureaucracies open, even though there was no economy, to keep one from developing. Because most of these petty bureaucracies are just corrupt anyway. Somebody starts a business and tries to do anything, and they sniff them out. They get there and they just ruin it right off the bat. And you got to bribe them. You got to give them this. You got to give them that. You can't do this. You can't do that. If you just take all that stuff away and let it collapse because they didn't have any money, you would have developed an organic economy, and that's the best way to develop one. That's what happened in the U.S. We developed an organic economy after we kicked the British out. I'm not going to allow Russia to do that. And that was an effective thing to do. That was just pure genius. You got to see how these people think. They are magnificent bastards. They took your tax money and kept the little petty bureaucrats in business so nobody could move, nobody could do anything. And they told you, we're helping them develop a market economy. And while they held them down, they come up with a scheme to sell shares in all the Soviet infrastructure that their great grandfathers and grandfathers and fathers had built and sell it off in shares. And then when they keeping everybody down with no money for a while and they really screw the lid down on it, get everybody hurting, then they pick up those shares for pennies on the dollar and scrap everything. That's how we helped Russia develop a market economy. That's what the U.S. does. Anyway, that's one of the ways that the system works, and I've seen evidence of it firsthand. They got their grubby little hands on Ukraine. They're hauling the machinery out of the buildings and cutting them up for scrap. They don't like, Uncle Sugar doesn't like competition. Old John Bull don't like it either, and the EU doesn't like it. They don't like competition. They want everybody to be subservient colonies. But anyway, that's all old news now, because the big thing now is the biolabs. Big news. Caught him red-handed. I'm going to put a link down here to that, and that's important. You might want to look at this. The guy on the cutting edge of the research and investigations on the biolabs, I know him, and he's working his butt off right now, getting all this stuff together. He's had a lot of it together. He's had his own whistleblowers and people that have been telling him about this for months. Anyway, I'm going to put a link down there, and well, we'll just call this good. This is a short one. I'll do some more as I learn stuff. But anyway, if you want to volunteer, if you want to go be a hero and get into things, you can volunteer to the Russian government instead of volunteering to all these yo-yos that are going into Ukraine. Be a lot safer. And you'd be actually doing something on the side of the truth. You're doing something against the New World Order instead of for it. You'd be fighting against Schwab and Gates and Brandon and all that bunch. I mean, everybody wants to do that. Well, we're not all able to, though. We just can't pull up and go. I wish I could. But I'm old and kind of crippled, kind of slow. I'm probably still a pretty good shot, though. But no, there mainly want people in positions where they're not doing that. I'll just continue to do the information war. And I've had great support, and I'm humbled and very, very touched by your kindness. People have been giving me some little bit of money so I can keep my VPN going, and it came just in time, too. And try to get some other things going here. I'm trying to spread out in a bunch of platforms, and my friend suggested that I really need to concentrate on Telegram. And it's new for me. I'm on Telegram. I've been there a while, but I don't know my way around. I don't even I know how to fully utilize it. I don't think. I don't quite understand it. But I'm going to study that for a while. That's what I'm going to do when I sign off here. I got to bone up on Telegram and get some things going. But as soon as I figure out how to show you how to find me on it, I'll put some links in here and also spread it on the other places where I'm at. I'm also on Rumble, and I've almost got my Patreon site done. And anyway, it's all good. Thanks for your support. I want to especially thank Barb. You're a jewel. You're a treasure. Thanks. Uncle Billy, signing out.